Hello everyone, this is Jonathan with Resale World Technical Support, and this is a video on how to add a listing manually. One thing I would like to note is that this video applies to ShopRW, Shopify, and eBay. All that really changes is you select your marketplace. So this video is on all three platforms. We're going to be using Shopify as our example just because it's the easiest to get into right now. In a prior video, we talked about using the Auto Create Listings feature and the listing manager to automatically create listings when we checkmark the web item option. So in this case, we're focusing on having a separate web item entry person take care of your listings. So this is important because if you have an item entry person, you want them to focus on just entering the inventory without having to worry about putting a weight on the item or adding photos to the item. They're going to be much more efficient when entering inventory. So yes, of course, it's better to have a separate web item entry person handle the listing later on. So that's what we're going to cover in this video. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that Auto Create Listings is turned off. And we're going to open up the listing manager at the very top here. Now we're going to click on Settings at the very top. And then we're going to go to Options. I'll sign in. Now that we're in Maintain Options, we're going to go to Storefront Settings, and we're going to turn off Create Listings for New Items. So that way we don't automatically create listings when we're checkmarking the web item box. So of course we do have our other features that we do want to make sure that we set, which is to require at least one image. That's one that we always recommend. If you are not doing calculated shipping, then require shipping weight is not required. Use automatic markdowns as if you would like your markdowns to filter through to your platform. So this allows those markdowns to affect your items when the markdown period hits. So if you have 10% off after 30 days, on the 30th day on the website, you'll actually see a strike through on the price. Now, of course, this does not apply to eBay items. This only applies to Shopify items and ShopRW items. Your display active auctions in Storefront basically has two different functions. This will allow you to show buy it now items that are on eBay, on Shopify. You can actually create a separate listings for those. If you're using ShopRW, you can do buy it now and auctions. The difference with ShopRW is when you click on an auction, it'll actually take you to eBay. Now, there is nothing in place in Shopify to allow this feature, so that's why it's not available for Shopify users. I'm going to go ahead and click the OK button here. And now I'm going to go ahead and add an item in the inventory module. So I'll open up the inventory module. We'll go to the account list, and I'm going to go to my handy John Doe account. So from here, I'm going to add inventory, and then I'll go ahead and add a suit or a jacket. So we'll put in jacket. We'll fill in all the other information like we normally would. We'll say this is a size large here. Black for the color. And I'll leave everything else blank. For the description, I'm going to say that there are buttons, or I should say there are additional buttons included inside of the jacket. Now for a price, we'll go ahead and price this at $50. This is the price that we're going to see the item on Shopify or ShopRW, whatever your platform is. On ShopRW and Shopify, if you put in a retail price, you'll see a scratch to as to whatever the retail price is set here. So if it's $75, you'll see a scratch to $75, and the $50 will be the actual price. It basically shows value if you go ahead and research any of those pricing that or research how much that item would be new. Everything else you would fill in exactly the same as a regular item entry person. Notice I'm not putting the weight, I'm not putting any images. I'm just going to check mark web item. So this will be important later on. If it's unchecked, that's okay. The web item entry person is still going to be able to look up this item. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and click save. So as an item entry person, I'm done. You know, maybe I do add more items, but for now, I'm going to go ahead and finish up. And then we'll pretend I'm the web entry person. So as a web entry person, they're going to go into listing manager. That's going to be their primary domain. And then they're going to click on the add listings button at the top left. So as you can see, we've got a couple of new items, including the new one that I just created here. So all items that have the web item checkbox checkmarked will show up in here. So your web item entry person can easily go through this entire list and just start adding them to the web. or adding them to whatever platform they're using, whether that be eBay, Shopify, or ShopRW. Now, one thing to note is if your item entry person forgets to checkmark the web item box, it is not the end of the world. You can use the search field up at the top here to search for items. You can search by title or description, or basically any type of thing you would type into the simple search area, and it will help you find the item in the event that the web item box is not checked during the item entry process. So they just simply double click on the item, and then it's going to ask you what marketplace you'd like to put the items on. So one thing I will note is in that add listings area, once all those items are done, technically that would mean your web item entry person has gone through all available items that are ready to go to the web. So I'm going to go ahead and drop down marketplace, and I'm going to select Shopify this time. So everything else is fine. We're not ready to list the item because we have a couple of things we need to fill out. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK here. And then we're going to be taken to the maintain listing screen for this listing. This is where that web item person can select, maybe they want to do a more detailed title. Maybe they want to change the HTML template. They want to add a much more descriptive description. So something that's just for the web, which is really neat because when you change the description here under the listing, that does not affect the tag. So the printed tag is completely separate from this process, and it definitely prevents any confusion. So I can literally put something else here, like I'll just say this is my Shopify listing description. So I'll also add a weight to this because maybe I want to go ahead and weigh my item. So we'll say that this is a pound. We have the option to set this item as featured, which means that it shows up in the featured products area on ShopRW, or it shows up in whatever collection you set as featured in Shopify. That's usually home page as your default. I'm going to go ahead and add some images to this. We'll go ahead and click the add button here for photos. And then we're going to go ahead and specify where the images are. So I'm going to use training images, but you can definitely go to like Dropbox or whatever, wherever you store your images, if that's on a camera or an Android phone that you have attached. For now, I'm just going to do train images here. And then I'm going to lasso multiple images here, and I can use my control key to select additionals. That's one thing Liberty 5 does that you couldn't do in Liberty 4 was you can select multiple images at the same time and then just click open. And you'll see that those images will appear in the right panel here. So what you can do with the images too is if they are messed up or something is not quite right, you can double click on each individual image. And you can specify, whether you want to change the contrast, the brightness, rotate the image, or resize the image. So if I have nothing I need to do there, I can just click OK on this. And then technically we are ready to push this item to Shopify or whatever platform we're using. So a couple of ways you can do that is you can checkmark the Ready to List button here and then save. And when I do that, this item will actually go online within 5 minutes. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that process. Normally, I would recommend you use a ready-to-list option so that way you can quickly go in and add multiple items. If you list the item now, yep, it'll actually go up right away, but you have to wait for it to actually sync before you can move on to the next item. One thing to note with eBay items is there are additional steps that need to be done, specifically selecting your eBay policies, which should be set by default. You will definitely need to set your eBay category ID, which you can go through the eBay category structure and it'll select the appropriate category ID for your eBay. And you will need to go through your item specifics. This is why you can't just go straight to eBay when adding an eBay listing. I do plan on having a separate video on how to list eBay items. Continuing on with this video, if I click list now, you're going to see this please wait pop up, and we'll wait for that to finish up. And then once it goes away, that means that the item's on Shopify. If you did not get an error, yeah, the item is definitely on Shopify. So to see this item on Shopify, or whatever platform you're using, whether it be eBay or ShopRW, you click on the Listings tab here. We're going to go to our Active tab, and this is where all our items live that are active on whatever platform you have them. The colors on the left will indicate which platform they're on. So in my case, gray is Shopify. Really cool. I can hover my mouse over that gray color, and that'll show me what platform I'm on. So I'm going to go ahead and see what this item looks like on Shopify. I'm going to right click on the item, and I'm going to go to View Listing. And here's my item. So I do see that really cool long description here, which is separate from the tag. And I know that because if I go back to the item in Liberty, let me go ahead and refresh this. So the item was item number 39. You're going to see that only the regular description that we had originally prints out on the tag. Meanwhile, in the listing is completely separate. So I can see that the listing has the longer description because it is a listing. It's completely separate from the item. So I'll go back to my page here. We can actually see the brand, the color, the size for the attributes. We can see any additional information like the account-item number or the item ID, which will help us find the item if a customer calls the store and wants additional information on that. And here's that scratch through price too. So we saw that the retail price was set to $75, and now we have a $50 item with a $1 item fee. That extra dollar will go ahead and go in our pocket as profit. This was a video on how to add a listing manually.